Hi, so I forgot to tell you the most important part about this video, and that is to tell you about the side effects of taking the whole cloves in a dessert spoon and in the following morning another dessert spoon and a month later repeating. Um, I'm actually contemplating at the moment just for myself to try doing that same thing maybe every morning for a month to get right into the deep tissue of the larger organs. But anyhow, side effects. Side effects of what happened when I took one dose in the evening and another dose 14 hours later that I talked about so much in the video. Um, it I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start. There's so many fantastic side effects. Um, Number one was that diabetes makes you extremely thirsty. And so, depending upon if I was working outside in the sun or not, 3, 4, 5, up to 6. And I do remember drinking 10 litres of water on a summer's day, working in the markets, channeling as well, and only going to the toilet to pee twice. Um, that's sorry, I've eaten my avocado on toast. Um, so that's what it's like. That's what it can be like with diabetes. But now, after taking the bomb twice, and then a month later repeating, uh, initially in the first week, my water consumption reduced to what I did when I was a kid, just a glass full a day. Mm, unbelievable. And so instead of eating 500 grams of mince cooked in bolognese or something as the workers' diet, I was then in the first week on one sandwich a day and having just as much, if not more, work output. Oh, very important, no more brain fog whatsoever. My brain high functioning, if I'm on the things that I take to cause it to high function, to make me perform or be in the mode of mediumship. That's where my high functioning lies. Um, Channeling, conscious channeling. So if I'm as far as food goes, yeah, just a sandwich. And so much less brain fog, brain fog. Um, and clarity all the way up to falling asleep, which is something I am not used to. I'm used to just the brain collapsing at night, and that's the marker for going to bed. So I'm now having to say to myself, um, go to bed at a good time, at a regular time, the same time every night, 9 o'clock, and get up as ASAP at 4:35, etc. And it was always a slog to get out of bed. There's another one. There's always a slog to motivate yourself, and I usually motivated myself with watching People Are Awesome on Samsung TV Plus, and I really did see some obscure things on there. Um, um, or the comedy channel. Comedy is a good thing to wake up to and brainwash yourself with. You'll come out with some really bad dad jokes that maybe only you'll find funny, but hey, that's the most important part when it comes to comedy, I think, as long as you think it's funny. Anyhow, no, honestly, so I made some folk laugh, and you'll look on my Facebook at some of the repercussions of watching comedy when I wake up and just before I fall asleep. It's along the lines of hypnosis. Another subject for another day. you actually just learnt then the foundation of hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and positively. Don't go standing in the, well, you can stand in the mirror and tell yourself that you love you, but there's nothing wrong with that. I think I've only done it a couple of times. Oh, once, I think. It didn't sit right with me as a tradie, but doesn't mean that it's wrong for ladies who are the ones that are approached in a relationship. So some cheeky monkeys will always use the excuse in approaching to slander. In intelligent ways nowadays, they may have stopped the face-to-face subliminal abuse, but they haven't stopped being abusive. They've just gone sublime with it. Anyways, other side effects. Oh, peeing as a diabetic was prolific. On the hour, every hour. I measured myself over 24 hours once, and it filled the bucket. And I said to myself, what's wrong with that picture? And that was when I actually went for the first time to a doctor to ask about diabetes. I actually asked about a toe that turned black. I thought I'd kicked the wall in the middle of the night. And when he looked at my toe, he said to me, have you ever been checked for diabetes? And I looked at him and thought, is this guy for real? He's worrying about my blood, and I got a black toe, you know. He's worrying about diabetes, and I'm complaining about my toe being black. Anyhow, it turned out that I did have diabetes. In a test that excellent doctor performed immediately with the nurse, blood test. It was extremely high. And so what happens is, with urination, multiple urinations during the day, and especially disturbing your sleep at night, which is the worst part. You're not getting down deep in the beta waves, which is where the cells repair, and you wake up so much more happier when you're frequently urinating during the night. So the bomb helped pull up the frequent urination. And if you want to try something else every night before you go to bed at, say, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, drop a fizzy tablet. I won't go into the brand name, but drop a fizzy tablet that is in the highest content of potassium. You can't buy potassium on the shelves anymore at any chemist, just like colourless iodine or iodine, etc. I did buy some, however, which was too strong. Instead of 3.2% colourless iodine, I bought 10% at the produce store for horses. And hey, I would never use that horse stuff on me. But anyway, I actually soaked my feet in it, which did absolute wonders for cleaning my feet and other. I put plastic bags on that you get the veggies in, and poured half a litre into each, or half the bottle into each plastic bag, which helped improve my feet. So I'm going to do a video one day on myopathy that occurs in the feet, and it's sort of like a numbness, and I'm going to talk to you about a sugar snake I pulled out of the drain in a motel kitchen about 30 years ago. It looked like a tube of silicone that had gone off, that was about 2 feet long. That was a sugar snake, and that is what causes your myopathy. Don't go near that rot. Don't go near sugar. Coconut milk is very sweet. If you want a sweet drink, you can get coconut cream in various sugar contents. Not high, any of them, but but coconut is sweet. And get off dairy and have coconut cream instead. I buy the cheapest coconut cream. because it has the lowest sugar content. And I have in the past tried one of the more expensive cans of coconut cream, which double the sugar content and are very, very sweet. You can make hummingbird cake out of coconut, moist coconut flakes and stuff. Coconut is something that I've fell in love with in the last 3 months or so. I can't speak well enough about coconut. I did a bit of a study on coconut, and coconut is very much like honey as far as our genes go. So honey was all over the world once upon a time in multiple nests in every country, and so we ate a lot of honey. And the first bee arrived, honey creating bee, honey making bee arrived 150,000 years ago. So do you think that's a part of our DNA or what? Yeah, I did a video on it. Check it out. It's called, I think it's called Honey, I'm Home. Mick Cox here on this channel. So coconut. Coconut trees have been in the coastal areas of every country for millenniums, lots and lots of millenniums. That's lots and lots of thousands of years. And so do you think that coconut is a part of our DNA before, maybe even before, of course, we had dairy? The first dairy ever was goats in I'm so sorry, folks. The only way I can identify that area of the world is to say that very religious area of the world, Iraq, Iran, and my apologies if I offend anyone with that. And please, the people on the other side of the fence, don't go laughing about it, what I just said. Yeah, you're on the other side of the fence. You're only just close to those people who are religious with a fence dividing you. I'll talk about vector diagrams one day in context that if you imagine a circle and the center of the diagram and arrows pointing in different directions, that's a vector diagram. And I had a very important subject that could be easily described with a vector diagram the other day. This is going to turn into a bit of a Pulp Fiction video, but it's 2 or 3 days of driving and around the house contemplation of a number of serious subjects. So if I was to draw a vector diagram with in the direction of physical abuse, people, let's say, people bullying you and causing physical abuse. I'm a subject of childhood physical abuse, but that's irrelevant. What is relevant is from what I learned from it. And what I learned from it was really strongly finalized to this point in time the other day. And what I looked at was that the bulliers, the people that physically bullied others in school and etc., pushing, punching, headlocking, choking, and all of that stuff. Some of it still goes on. It's terrific. Well, as they grow up and they start thinking just like hangings, public hangings, it's getting a bit embarrassing, so we won't do that anymore. So the person won't beat you up anymore physically. So the next best thing, of course, is to intimidate you. But it's still in a physical alignment with that vector arrow of direction. Or it's right next to it, very much right aside of it, next to a parallel path, because people are now being bullied psychologically so much that they physically have physical results from it. Physical results, as the worst is cutting, people who cut themselves. Just that's caused through bullying, but it's also caused through the Woumb program that I'll talk about as well another day, and maybe just mentioning the Woumb program is enough. The Woumb program is a funny thing. If you are bullied, let's say as a joke wise, by Big Brother, then as you grow up in life, you will, due to having that Big Brother bullying, you will seek out Big Brother bullying in your life. You will create scenarios where Big Brother bullying occurs because that is the program that is in the mind, and you must seek. Let me point out another one. I think I might have put it up on Facebook, on social media before, that the Woumb program, as you develop hearing, can begin to, in the womb, you can begin to start hearing voices externally. But all of us, of course, start hearing voices externally, and some of them are singing and reading books and stuff, which is fantastic. And you'll run that program when you're born. But what happens before you get hearing is that your intuitive senses are developed first. Sensing that mother is there, mother's hand is on your stomach is another one. A program, sensing that there are others around, standing around your mother. So let me tell you about the worst case scenario of Woumb program to do with schizophrenia. And I might have to divide this video, split it like you do with cash and card at the register. The worst case scenario, I'll make this video and I will edit it and etc. So the worst case scenario that occurs as caused by a Woumb program, and having to seek and fulfill your life with the Woumb program, because that's what a program does. It knows nothing better but to fulfill your life with the program, is this. You begin to have senses of the outside world while you're in the womb. And mother likes to watch scary movies, which was the case with my mother. She absolutely loved to watch scary movies. And so I was put on high alert in the womb. And what happened was, not in my scenario, but I saw, in my scenario, I was on high alert. I then was born and had a brother who bullied, and I had to seek bullying and bring bullying into my life to be able to contest, to be able to confront that bullying, which is the Woumb program that ran in that watching a scary movie. Oh, I'm not going to be intimidated by this movie. I'm not scared. So that's the Woumb program, and I searched to bring the Woumb program into my life as a child, and forced myself to be bullied by my brother. Maybe I pushed his buttons and etc. I remember the worst start of the bullying just the other day. I forget where I was driving to, but the worst case of bullying as a child was when my brother had been somehow given two glow-in-the-dark ghosts. Well, as a medium, that wasn't where my mediumship started, but as a little kid, I was just enthralled by the two glowing ghosts at night, and I expressed to him, who was a real giver, that I'd really love to have one of the ghosts. I don't know how old it was, 4, 5, 6 or something. Must have been 5, I'd say. And anyhow, he gave me both the ghosts, and then he rebuked his offer. And I wasn't being in love with the two glowing ghosts. They were just fantastic. They had that smell and everything about them of early plastics. I wasn't surrendering them in a hurry, and so it caused a bit of a kerfuffle, a physical kerfuffle, and upset. I gave them back, but Indian giving. Indian giving upset me in the early age. Anyhow, it's all water under the bridge. But I remembered that the other day. That was the first example I could remember in my life of bullying. Anyhow, so where were we? The Woumb program, the worst scenario of Woumb program, and I can help if you listen to this video and some other things, because in the worst case scenario of Woumb program, you will seek this scenario. You must bring this scenario into your life. And remember, we always want to be better than, we always want to improve on our standards or our abilities in life compared to our parents. We want to better our parents. We want to better our siblings, and etc. And so if you've got this particular Woumb program running, you're in trouble. But not totally in trouble, because everything that happens in life can be used in a positive way, which is what I'm doing right now. So the worst case scenario of a Woumb program is receiving or developing sensitivity and then intuitiveness in the womb. My guess is that the physical sensitivity came first, and then as the brain developed or the mind developed, we then, and science says that the body's nervous system works together with the brain to create the mind, because they said that cells, they proved that cells can think for themselves. So the nervous system would have been there, developing right from the start. The sensory system of heat and etc., senses and touch and feel, etc., would have also developed next, is my guess. And then intuitiveness, using the nervous system electrical body with the brain, creating the mind, which is a part of your intuitive senses. Your intuitive senses are a part of your mind, which is holistic. There you go. There's some description there. And Mick Cox is learning as well, as I consciously channel some of this information out. Oh, there I go. I'll put this on my leg so that I don't wobble so much. So, and I'll keep an eye on the green light, that the microphone doesn't run out. So you're developing intuitive senses in the womb. And what happens is, in a violent situation, you, as the infant developing in the womb, will start to feel the same intuitive senses as the mother, in the fact that you'll be worrying not about a movie, a violent. My mother never watched violent movies, but scary movies, which is worse than violence. Really, it's more intimidating than violent movies. Um, uh, the mother will be worrying about what time the father gets home, because that could be a bad time. You never know in a violent domestic family violent situation. And I had plenty of lies told about me being violent. None of it true. Just terrible. Um, I've never struck a woman in my entire life, or physically manhandled a woman in my entire life. And uh, and the police can tell you, if they were to tell the absolute total truth about me, I've never sworn at a police officer. Um, I was booked for obscene language when I was about 18 or 17, riding a motorbike, pulled up for speeding, and the guy threw the book at me. He didn't like me lane splitting, which wasn't illegal at the time, but it wasn't an accepted practice at the time because there wasn't so many motorbikes on the road when lane splitting began to increase. So he said something to me that was an outright lie of the speed I was going, and I said, that's effing bullshit. And I shouldn't even say the BS word. But and then he asked somebody, an old couple that were walking past, if they heard me swear, and they said no, it wasn't real loud. But I did get booked for obscene language when I was 17, and since then, of course, maybe that's part of why I never did. Plenty of what I call construction language, and pub language, and street language, but never in front of uh, a lady, etc., and especially never in front of the police. There's been lots of reports of me supposedly being extremely violent, but none of it includes swearing at any person, especially the person I was supposed to be violent to. So violence, of course, violent people, of course, don't talk about the weather or talk about things in a polite manner. And the worst thing scenario I ever did was raise my voice. And sometimes some of you pricks know why I yelled in the house, because you drugged my food or coffee or etc. Anyhow, so let's get back onto the Woumb program now that I've cleansed some of the horrible stories about me out of my character a bit. There'll always be negative naysayers and attackers, but at least I've defended myself a little bit here in saying, describing my life. So in the Woumb, you start to sense that Dad's coming home soon, the worry of Dad coming home soon because he's violent, and that is the case. I had somebody nearby here who we could hear him punching the woman to the floor, and I actually had my door on the front doorknob about to go in. I couldn't stand it anymore. Talking to myself, to man up. This fellow is a big fellow, and he was clearly stopping her from from replying in the same tone. Let me put it that way. And I had my hand on the front doorknob to go in when another neighbour said to me, don't go in there. That woman will get you. What a lesson that was. So anyway, Dad's coming home soon. Scared, and more scared. Dad arrives home. You're still intuitive in the womb and no hearing, and you sense fear, extreme fear. There are chemicals released with that fear, and of course, I'll remind you, you must run that program when you are born, from the moment you are born. You must seek out scenarios in your life. You must bring scenarios into your life that create those same chemicals. Yeah. I might just put this into the Parasite video and come back and edit it, re-edit it, and split it another day. I want to get on with something else today, and it's 20 past 8. Uh, um, so the next worst and even worse case scenario is that dad becomes physical, and then I just realised another psychiatric scenario. So then you must, after being struck by dad, mum must sit down and cry. Does that sound like bipolar with schizoaffective side effects, etc.? Does that sound like straight out schizophrenia, that you are eventually hearing voices? You begin with paranoia of something that is outside there. In the Woumb program that you must follow, you will enter a dark room where you will feel even more paranoid, etc. And then eventually, later on in that schizophrenic scenario, you will begin to hear voices in the dark room. So to break that cycle, it's simple. Don't go into a dark room if you're feeling in any way depressed. Right. See that? Turn the light on in the room if you're going to stay in your bedroom. Turn that light on as bright as possible. Turn a TV on in the bedroom to break the cycle, and watch some comedy in the mornings, in the evenings, etc. And you will break that cycle mind cycle over a period of time. I'm not implying that I've got schizophrenia. Um, my mother was labelled with schizophrenia, and I can tell you now that she did not have schizophrenia. She was extremely clairvoyant. She was definitely a medium with the things that she would say, but she would not follow in our in my great grandfather's footsteps, who performed on stage as a medium before Her Majesty Queen Victoria, and he was knighted for his charity work, not charitable, actual charity work, when he built a hospital. He was knighted by the Buffalo Club, and that knighthood medal, was handed down through family to me. I might add, by a aunt that held the medal in trust in America, after I counselled her on the phone to America a number of times, using my mediumship, clairvoyance especially, and healing techniques of speech, voice, and more than that, with my mediumship. If you've ever gotten the tingles talking to someone on the phone, then you are exchanging vibrations, and you are exchanging intellectual and telepathic energies. They are experiencing your spirit, and in reverse as well. So, information exchange, I call it, when you tingle talking to someone in person, which can cause chronic fatigue. It's pulling down your electrical system. Another subject for another day. But if you've got chronic fatigue and you've learnt not to talk so deeply into conversations and get the tingles, or to grab your arm and ground yourself when you start feeling the tingles, or grab your nose while you're having a conversation, some other things you can do to ground yourself when you start feeling the tingles, and stop that exchange, that loss of energy which causes chronic fatigue, and to rejuvenate the chronic fatigue, to overcome it. Simple. Sea salt, Celtic sea salt, and there's a story to that. But you've got the foundation of how to fix it. I went into, with chronic fatigue, sleeping 19, 20, 21 hours a day, living in a mobile home so that I could also exercise my mind by looking around. Um, I felt one day that when I really got depressed that I wanted to cure this chronic fatigue or this sleeping. I had no idea it was chronic fatigue. And so I went to a health shop, felt that I should buy first and only time I ever went to a health shop, and I came out with this bag of Celtic sea salt. I put a teaspoon in a litre of water and drank that throughout the day. And sometimes back in those days, I was hardly drinking a litre, didn't have diabetes, and so I drank as much as possible a day, and it tasted all right eventually. And after a month, I was running and swimming, sleeping normal hours. I had rejuvenated the cells, which are batteries, of my body with electrolytes. So, and I went back to the health shop after I finished the bag 3 months later or something like that, or maybe less, 2 months. And I had the bag in my hand, looking at the front of it, not being able to read in those days, caused by dyslexia. And I was trying to figure out how this salt had cured my chronic fatigue. And when the attendant came over and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Lady, this stuff cures chronic fatigue." And she goes, I think I said to her, I'm quite certain this stuff cures chronic fatigue. That's what I said, verbatim. And she said, she grabbed the packet in my hand, flipped it over to the back, and pointed straight on the packet where it said, "Cures chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS." And I said, "Oh," and I felt like a goose, in that she obviously didn't realise that I didn't read, and maybe I had read the back of the packet. But anyhow, maybe she didn't, because she did flip it straight over and point straight to it, and saw my astonishment. Reading's fantastic. You learn how to speak like all the toffee noses, which isn't really a change of character or a change of personality. It's just like wearing great clothes, being able to speak in another species. The microphone, having come from being living the life of a pie mongerer in construction, beer drinking, brawling idiot. Sorry for that. To someone who's educated now in an area of that fills my mind. It's filled every part of space in my brain and now. After getting over the mind overload, which always happens when you study a subject too much, now my brain power is excelling, especially that I've gotten rid of the parasites that you've learned about recently. So, brain fog is all about mind overload, and due to creating better brain function by getting rid of the parasites, my mind overload, which is caused by too much information or stress, too much stress is another way that mind overload can happen, which can cause chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue is all about too much thinking as well. I've covered a few subjects here today on this video, and hopefully people won't copy it and make their own video instead. The plagiarizers who are experts on the computer, what a bunch of pricks if they're still doing it. And hopefully you'll see this video for yourself in full from the mouth of the man who discovered it all, not by the Milli Vanillis, those two Milli Vanillis, those 3 millivanillis, those 4 millivanillis. It was rising there for a while. The Holy Grail of Science by Mick Cox is a good marker to know who developed these things. And anyhow, my other part of avocado on toast with a sprinkle of sea salt is sitting and waiting to be eaten. It's a bit cold after 40 minutes of this segment of the video, but I'll add it on. Or maybe I'll make it a separate video and put the link in the other video that you can go and watch. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll name this video a particular thing, and I'll put that name of the video, this video, into the other Parasites, the Heads Up on Parasites by Mick Cox. Heads Up on Parasites Mick Cox Eagleby will get you to the video on eradicating the majority of parasites. But remember, at the beginning of this video I said that I've been contemplating this morning that because there's no physical or brain, no negative side effects caused by taking the whole cloves ground, ingesting a tablespoon in the morning, because there's no negative side effect. I think I did have a little bit of a cry one day, so it could make you a little bit emotional, but I didn't have any other side effect. And also to say that I Google searched the other day bloodletting and found out that one country in the world, one state of one country in the world still uses leeches in particular treatments, in medical treatments in a hospital in the world today, and that is Victoria, Australia, it said. But I'm sure that they've stopped by now using leeches because of some people, the conscious mind of some people having been jailed for under the laws of witchcraft by the heresy government, even in recent years. So that person didn't, that got jailed, I spoke about in the other video, for witchcraft, practicing witchcraft, which is along the lines of using just one single solitary herb that I prescribe as whole cloves. I could get jailed for witchcraft. The beauty of it is that just one herb cures so many side effects. I'm talking Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia. So eat your minerals, eat raw vegetables, don't put them anywhere near heat whatsoever. Stick mix them and drink them down, and then enjoy your normal day, which may not actually be normal in comparison to those that are healthy. Enjoy your normal day of eating. Do not go cold turkey on anything. Wean yourself off everything. And if you eat something in the morning that's nutritious before you start your normal day, you will reprogram your body to want nutrition. And the other addictions, etc., if they are, I was addicted to milk, those other addictions will fade when you put nutrition in your body. The first thing I noticed when eating raw broccoli 10 years ago, when first starting to eat raw broccoli 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, was that, it was longer, it must have been 20 years ago, was that I would, in the next 4 or 5 minutes, have to rush to the toilet for a number 2 because my body no longer needed the garbage I was eating. Man, there's a whole book I could write on just that subject of eating raw broccoli. So just the brushy bits, don't eat the stalks, they're woody and hard to digest. That's all you really need to know before you start. But man, what brain power. So you'll overcome the brain fog. The parasites will still be there, despite them hating a acidic body. An alkaline body helps eradicate, helps keep away that species that you are riddled with of parasites. How's that? And so cleansing will help in the long term. There are literally 1,000 different types of parasite and species of parasite. And as an example, I'm quite certain like an ibis and like a spoonbill, which have one DNA strand between them, as a dissimilation, parasites have that as well. Arthritic parasites that cause that swelling of the knuckles are the cousin of tennis elbow. Both the same parasites eating and building nests in amongst the cartilage. There is also another cousin who loves to eat the sinew. My knee had oh my God, 35 years ago, I had my knee operated, and I can't remember what they called those four sinews in your knee: anterior cruciate, posterior cruciate, and medial and ligaments. Hey, you can force your brain to remember. Sometimes we shouldn't. Sometimes we should write things down or make a video. You don't even necessarily have to publish it, and that is enough memory that you need in the lessons you'll learn, typing and reading in between the lines, realising in between the lines. Yeah. Some things just need to be discarded in your life for memory, and be sure that you've learned everything you can possibly learn from it before you do discard it. I taught someone that I love very much at the age 7 who had a Tourette's. He had and a stepping on all of the joins in the tiles, like a Tourette's and an OCD together. I got rid of it within seconds by simply saying to him, whatever you do, whatever that is caused by, you need in your life. Do not ever discard it. Do not ever try to get rid of it. Just simply place it in a box, close the box, put a good lock on the box and lock it up for when you need it again later. And that little fellow calmed down in his demeanour absolutely immediately. So he was high functioning when stepping on the joints. I only realised that right now. But in that 20-second, 30-second conversation, he never ever, in my presence, stepped again on the lines. His 2 Tourette's of sniffing, breathing, and head tilting stopped immediately in the entire time from there on in that he was with me. I don't think he ever remembers, but I didn't tell him I was being robbed all the time, and I was so poor that I was eating rice, but I had food set aside in the fridge for him when he visited, and I ran out of that food that long weekend and had to send him back before the weekend finished. And I didn't think I'd be there long in the house, having to move on soon, and so I asked him to look after my great-grandfather's knighthood medal given to him by the Buffalo Club. Because them robbing my house, it was going to disappear soon, and I think it was an association of people that were robbing my house. And I also said to him, because I was so dirt poor living on rice that particular time for 3 weeks, luckily it was on the TV where a fellow won big, he won Big Brother. It was on the front page. The first Big Brother show was on the front page. He'd won $250,000 under the same name as that person. They had the Castaway show where the people lived on an island and they only gave them rice. Luckily that show had been on TV and I didn't feel so bad about, didn't feel so despondent about eating rice for 3 weeks. Man, I lost a lot of weight, but there were worse scenarios when I actually lived in this house that I own outright and couldn't afford food because of pressure of the 40-year-old home falling apart due to white ants, termites, and having to repair, either go without food or repair the termites, and have a house to a roof over your head. My mother bequeathed this house to me. I owned my own house at the time and had to sell it because of squatters that came into my house while I was looking after my mum, caring for my mum. And so anyway, I had to sell my house when I eventually got the squatters out. I had to repair the damage first. Another one that was in association. So anyway, we're all through it now. Life is great. I've repaired the termites tenfold. The modifications I made along the way are so much better. And the disability room that I built with a metre wide entry bedroom door has bifold doors that now open up through that termite eaten entire rear wall. Bifold doors that open up to the paved area, just got to clean that up now. And now that I'm getting over my mind overload of parasites, I was suffering a mind overload of parasites, what I learned in parasites, for about 12 months. And so now I'll finish off the bathroom as a disability bathroom with a lovely 6 foot by 6 foot glass, 10mm safety glass window. And if you've got no window ventilation, then you must put a ventilation fan in, which is simple. Turn it on. You turn on the light, you turn on the fan, or a movement sensor that turns on the fan, which would be the best thing. And leave your movement sensors can be so small. They can be 12 volt as well, which reminds me I've got a 12 volt movement sensor here, and a 12 volt fan is readily available. Especially a thermostatic fan out of a car, 7-inch thermostatic fan, 12 volt out of a car, because I've got a 12 volt flush on my toilet as well. So the 12 volt movement sensor will activate the 12 volt thermostatic fan straight over the top of the shower. It'll never ever stuff up, and it will be painted white, which will exhaust straight outside through the gaps in the beams. And of course a fly screen in that gap of the beams for the air to exhaust. Wow, a bit like this video, hey? A bit exhausting, a bit Pulp Fiction, but all good stuff, especially that the exhaust fan will be painted white. They are extremely cheap on eBay or at your automotive shop. And you do not have to run a 12 volt fan on 12 volts. It will spin slower, half speed, even less than half speed at 6 volts. And you could put 2 fans, one over the top of the toilet, or one in the vent tube of the toilet, in the anyhow, you could have two 12 volt fans in series that 12 volts across the pair will create 6 volts at each fan, half speed, half the noise, because thermostatic fans are a little bit noisy. They don't care how noisy they are at the front of your car, and half speed will quieten it down. Half voltage, half speed will quieten it down, and I think it's actually less than half speed. How's that for technical engineering? 55 minutes. It's certainly been enough of a Pulp Fiction video. The side effects were so many, it just unbelievable. But I've given you the most important ones. Glaucoma, mucus parasite sacs in your eyes. What I prescribe for you will help. Somebody else I noticed the other night prescribes, you can use it as a backup, castor oil around your eyes. Put it on those mask things if you wear them at night, or during the day while you sleep. Put some castor oil on them, or tissues somehow on your eyes with castor oil while you sleep, or something, or on your forehead, or even on your leg. It will move through your body. Yeah, sorry to confuse you there and imply that you need it on your eyes. You can put it anywhere in your body and it will eradicate, but it will focus on the local area. If you put it across your forehead, put it on the top of your head to cure your baldness. It helped mine after just 4 applications of 1 drop. Wow. But as I said in the other video, the parasites will migrate from elsewhere in your body and return into those areas that they love more so than other parts of the body, where they become stronger parasites through eating hair follicle and brain cells, etc. Sorry, I'm a bit sarcastic with that joke, aren't I? Have a great day, folks. It's Wednesday, something like the 31st or 1st of July, 31st of June or 1st of July, 2026. 8:45. Time to get into it, folks. And when I say into it, I know I've been into it this morning, but I don't have much feedback as to whether you see these videos or not. So have a blessed day. You don't have to be, I'm not a Jesus freak, but you don't have to be a Jesus freak. You don't have to be a freak on God either. But some people I've met were more godly than the godly preachers, and didn't speak of God. People who are veterinarians and farm people who work with animals, etc., performing and spending outlays to look after animals and stuff, are just beautifully Christianic, beautifully godly, spiritual people. Yeah. One of the most spiritual people I'll mention right now is Steve Irwin. Just a wonderful conservationist who was a bit disrespectful with nature, but anyhow, he was definitely a spiritual person and lived a life close to God, without probably, I never knew the guy, but without probably ever talking about God. Spiritual. It's a parallel path to the godly person, to the religious person, and to the person the other side of religion. Be that godly or whatever. Anyway, have a great day. Enjoy your life. Be responsible for your life and others around you. And forget, if you can't earn money at the time, then stay busy. Stay busy to stay programmed as a worker. I am as busy as hell, as busy as blazes. Maybe those two are associated. Busy as heck, which is close to hell, I guess. Anyhow, it's all practice of my new vocabulary. Some of you would have realised that already. My speak is changing, but I still have reservation for those that I grew up with in the neighbourhood, and the neighbourhood being each and every neighbourhood I ever lived in. Enjoy it, folks. It's a gift. You'll never, like that song says, you'll never receive a greater gift than the human body. And the more you respect that human body, the more life you can enjoy. And not just live, but enjoy. Thoroughly enjoy. And remember that if you're not enjoying life, it could be a womb program if you're not enjoying life. You might have, because I've spoken to lots of people who don't seem to want to surrender their, look, they talk about it on TV, obesity. They don't want to surrender their obesity. They are comfortable in their rut. And that's because it's a womb program. They must seek it. They must be exactly in that form. If it's obesity that makes them depressed, then obesity it shall be until they find another depressing subject. It takes a while to get rid of that womb program, but through informing you of its existence helps an immense amount to talk to your subconscious, your super subconscious, and eradicate or tweak, just tweak and correct the womb program. Have a great day, folks. I've said it enough times now. See ya.